15 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Noted,
And
ma'am.
also, sa kadaghan bitaw sa relo na ako diri, di ko kabalo unsay tinuod. Lahi ang relo dito, lahi ang I think sa akong laptop murag grabe kay ni ka-advance. So di na ko kabalo unsay kuan. But anyway, today we are going to discuss our first lecture. While waiting, let us offer a short prayer. Pray on your own. Okay? Silent prayer. Let's start. Okay. Philip, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where's your camera?
Nag-on na siya, ma'am.
Crizel and what is this? Jebi? Jebi.
It's Phoebe, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Phoebe. Good morning. Where's your camera?
Sorry, ma'am, I can't turn on my camera today because the internet connection is quite slow. It might slow down my connection to class, ma'am.
Okay. What about Philip? Where's your camera? Philip, are you there?
Ma'am, the camera is on.
The camera is on. Ay, maybe may ano. Yung kita. Okay. So, our first section. And did you buy the book? Na may copy sa book? Do you have a copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Na may copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you buy it?
In the Magis bookstore, ma'am.
Tagpila sa ila dito?
980 pesos.
Discounted na daw to or ano?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
Okay. So anyway, the first module or katong the first pre-calculus. I listed then there the topics that you needed here in our calculus, no? So those are the prerequisite topics. I hope you have a strong foundation on those topics. So if wala pa kaayo, okay lang, no? So as day goes by, I hope kung naamoy mga difficulties in some areas, you will be able to go back to your notes in your previous years, senior high or junior high, and practice on those topics. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Or there are times, no, mag-ingon gali ko og when I say we will have an asynchronous class, and instead of having a video meet here or Google Meet, you spend those time in reviewing your katong trigonometry, because mauto I stress that trigonometry because along the way, especially in the later part, also in your integral calculus, you need to uh, at least memorize by heart the trigonometric identities. Okay. Now, sorry. I would like to remind you, maybe mm, Thursday or Friday, you shall have your first quiz. So we will meet sa Xavier, no, sa school. And bring your, what do you call it, laptop or gadget, because you are going to uh, answer you're going to answer your quiz via e-learn. So data pagyaman ta. This week is group 2, no? Diba group 2 karon? So naamoy mga subjects nga muadto mo sa Xavier, right? So muadto mo karon nga morning, karon nga day dili. Naamoy klase
Later
karon?
afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon. Okay? So do not forget to bring, no, sa inyong gadget para matestingan ninyo ang exam. No? Pag open sa inyong exam, i-connect ang inyong gadget. Because you cannot take the exam during the day of exam, kung wala di mo makakonect sa Xavier, you have to have a load, no? Mag-load mo og data because you have to take it sa data because I will not print the exam. It will be on e-learn only. Okay? And also, if you need one, you can bring your calculator. You cannot use the calculator of your cell phone. As expected, you are engineering students, you should have a calculator. Okay? Now, sorry. Let us begin. When I begin presenting the PowerPoint, you can turn off, no, everybody can turn off the camera. Okay, so let us turn off the camera and share. Mm-hmm. Now, section 1.1 in your book or in our module proper is about functions. Now, we know that we've been talking functions, no, in algebra in your junior high and senior high, and we know what function is. Okay, so function is an integral part of calculus. It is the first part of the calculus because in calculus we will be dealing with functions. So you might not know it, but we know that everything around us are connected, are related. No? Even our cells actually, kato mga DNA, and anything, no? Mga research, no? When you open your eyes, relationship dayon ang connection with your environment dayon ang mugawas. So everything around us, there is always dependency or relationship between a thing to another thing. You might not know it. Function is as important as numbers, as the numerals, no? Yung tag 5, 10, this is very important number because if you don't know how to count, murag mawala ta. Just like functions. Aside from counting, function is also very important part of science. So, The easiest way to define function is it arises when two quantities are related. By the way, nine is sulod. Wait class ha kay ako sa ning ikuan kay para ang mga isang kuan. Okay. So again, functions arises when at least two quantities are related. So you have you can still remember from your junior high and senior high how functions are related, defined. We will define it later, no? So when at least two quantities are related, no, we can call it a functions. Example is the area of a circle. The area of a circle clearly depends upon the quantity radius. No? So, a circle, a circle, sa kadako sa iyang, the longer its radius, the greater its area. No? So, we know that the rule of dependency of the area of a circle is pi r squared, meaning our rate, this one, meaning for every positive radius r, then there is an associated value of area, magnitude area, and we say here that area is a function of r. No? Another example, we have two quantities here. The x having values of 1, 2, 3, 4, and also y having values of 2, 4, 6, 8. Notice that when our x is 1, the corresponding value for y is 2. For when x is 2, the corresponding value of y is 4. So we can say here that x is related to y by just looking at this one, doubling the x, and we will get y, which is 2, if our x is 1. If our x is 3, we double it, we get a value of 6 for y. So, the formula for dependency here is y is equal to 2x. Okay? So we can define a function. We can define a function. This is mathematically. A function f is a rule that we assign to each element in our x in a set of d, exactly one element called f of x in a set e. So this is set of d and this is set of e. Excuse me, class. You go. Okay. Kasabot, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, for example, here in this example 2, we can say that the set D here, which is a set of the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, we call this one the domain, no? Which is what we call the independent variable. And the range, which is a set of 2, 4, 6, 8, this is our y's. The domain is our uh, x's from our example 2. This set R is what we call the range, and which is the set of dependent variables. It is called dependent variables because y, or the range, is dependent on the values of our um, domain, which is the independent variable. Okay. Now, we can also think of function as acting like a machine, no? For example, we have a machine here na atay isulod pag naday mo gawas. So, if we take a look at our example 2 again, if we input here our domain 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it will be processed in our um, machine with the rule that follows y is equal to 2x, x mao to atong isulod, y being the output. So the output here, the range is our 2, 4, 6, 8. No? Example class is our calculator. No? Atong calculator, na ate mga functions kay na mga buttons. So, if for example, mo input tag 3, tapos mo, we want it to be, you want to get the square root, you just press the square root function, and then what appears in your calculator screen is the square root of whatever the number you pressed. Okay, so that is also a function. Now, to understand more about function, function can also be visualized through its graph, no, the sketch of the graph. So for example here, for every element here, it has a corresponding or associated value on our y. So for example, x is 1 is associated with 2, 2 is associated with 4. We will have an ordered pair of 1, 2, 2 and 4, and so on. So naatay points. We know that for an ordered pair, it is equivalent to a point on a Cartesian plane. Now, plotting these points, ordered pairs here, we get a graph of this function. So this graph of the function actually allows us to see the behavior, no? The picture of behavior of the function. Kini siya, no? Uh, Next ani musaka. It is an increasing function, or as our x, no, the domain increases, our range also increases. So makita nato ang behavior um, sa atong function. And of course, through graph, no, we can identify the domain and range. Now, there are 4 ways to represent a function. So the first one is verbally. No? When we say verbally, we describe in words the governing rule. No? Example is Verbally, we say doubling the value of x to get the value of y. So that is one way of representing a function. Second would be numerically. When we say numerically, we use numbers. For example, we use the table of values. Mag-compute ta to get numbers, numerical values. Example is our table of values. The third one is visually. So visual, makita nato, no? So through sketching the graph of our function. So this is an example of visualization of a function. The last one is algebraically. When we say algebraically, we use explicit formula. For example, the rule y is equal to 2x. So these are the four ways to represent our functions: verbally, numerically, visually, and algebraically. So when we go higher, this is what we are concerned with. Actually, kini gyapon sila. But kini ang ato most of the time, the way how to we represent our function is this one. So the third example, verbal problem. So worded problems from yours pre-calculus or in engineering class para bitaw dili bitaw libog, no? Mag-practice na mo class on how to solve verbal problems or word problems. Ang uban man good, no? When I look at the solutions, no, before katag, no, di sila kabalo unsaon nila pag-solve. Di na sila kasabot og in English, in English, dugangan pa og numbers. Pagsulat pa nila sa ilang first attack ana nga problem, ang ilang solution, no, during the face to face pa, no, dili na nagkarag-karag na. So we standardize our solutions here, class. How do we solve verbal problems in engineering way, class? So you are engineering students, I would like to apply, no? There are 3 steps, class. First is, there are 3 steps. There are steps and 3 are to be noted, no? So the steps are, of course, the first is you read the word problem very carefully, and we are going to note down the given in the problem. So after noting down the given in the problem, you asked or you note also what is or what are the requirement in the problem. What is asked of the problem? Wala lagi to siya. Okay. Then the third one is solution. Yan, ka magsulat sa imong solution. So in the solution, you go back to your requirement and you connect it to the solution, to the given in the problem. Okay? So let us do that. In the given, if you can make a diagram, much better. So for example, a rectangular storage container with an open top has a volume of 10 cubic meter. The length of its base is twice its width. Material for the base cost is $10 per square meter. Material for the sides cost $6 per square meter. Express the cost of materials as a function of the width of the base. Okay. So, unsay first step out, but it's a first step. Second step is if you can visualize or give and draw, no, the diagram of the problem in the given. This is also included in the given. No? The given, much better. So, given. So, itong gihatag sa first, it is a rectangular storage container with a volume of 10 cubic meter. So, given. And also, materials for the base. So, lahi ang cost of materials sa base, which is $10 per square meter. And for the sides, it is $6 per square meter. So, this is the rectangular box. Mura na gid ng box good nga. Mamalingke inyong mamagpapa or kamo, o mag-grocery, dili mamalingke. Kana bitong gasudlan, no? So, you know that the box naa siya'y height, naa siya'y width, and naa siya'y length. No? And it's also given here that the length of its base, this one, is twice its width. So if this is the width, this is the length, which is twice the width. Okay. Kung sige pangita daw, express the cost of materials as a function of the width of the base. So let's say C, we can use any variable. C is a function of W. So, naa kay C equals variables or the independent variable W. So, solution. Sa gaya daw, total cost, it is equal. How do we get the costing here? The costing here is equal to the, because ang cost sa material is different from base and the sides, and it is given per area, cost per area. So we are going to get the area of each face of the container. So the base here, so the total cost is equal to the cost of the base material plus the cost of the sides. And you know that it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Sides aside from the base. And you know that the cost of the base is $10 per square meter. So you multiply it with the base area, makan silang meter squared here, mabilin is 10 for the cost of the base material. And also, plus the cost of the side materials per square meter times the area of the side area. So here we have 4 side areas. So we are going to calculate the area of the base. So you know that this is rectangle. The area is width times length, or 2W times W, or 2W squared. That is the base area. The side area would be kini o kini pareho, no? So width times height times 2. So 2WH plus lahi ang area diha. So H times 2W times 2 sides. So that would be 6 with height. Okay. So the problem here, you are asked to solve for the cost in terms of W. Gawas magud si height. So how are we going to change the height into the W? So we have here the volume. You're given here the volume of the container, And you know that the volume here is length times width times height, which is equal to 10 cubic meter. So 10 times height times width times the length, which is 2W, is equal to that. So H here is equal to 10 over 2W squared, or which is equal to 5 over W squared. So we are ready now to solve for the total cost, which is equal to the base area, which is 2W squared times 10 plus 6W times our H is 5W squared times 6. On calculation, that is equal to 2W squared plus 20W squared plus um, this one, no? W lang ang cancelled with that. 6 times 5 times 6 is 180 over W. Okay? So, nakasabot class? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Class, when I ask, mo niya akong experience class ha, when I ask question, you should, when I ask question, when I ask you, you should always answer me. Why? Um, by experience, nag-discuss ko, discuss ko, so I'm on my, let's say, third or fourth slides. Ako mga estudyante kina-disconnect na di ay because, ako na di disconnect. So, pagbalik sa kuan, tingala na sila nga layo na kay kong slides. Minaw po sila, wala sila kakuan. So, I hope when I ask question or when I ask you, some of you can answer so that I will know nga online pa ko, no? Kasabot class?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you. So, when the functions are shown visually through graphs, we see a graph. Even if it is a straight line in calculus, we call it a curve. No? Now, no, actually what we're talking here is a review of your pre-calculus, no, of your algebra. Now, from algebra that not all functions or not all curves are functions. Not all drawings or graphs of relations are functions. No? Only those graphs that when we draw a vertical line and this line intersect with that graph at a maximum point of one point of intersection, then we can call that curve a function. If not, it's more than one point of intersection, it's not a function but a relation. So we call that one the vertical line test. No? A curve in the xy plane is the graph of a function, meaning it is a function curve of x if and only if no vertical line intersects the curve of more than once. So for example, this is a curve. This is the vertical line. If we draw a vertical line here, anywhere here, no? If the intersection between that vertical line with the curve is only at this point, then we can say that this curve is a function. In the second one, notice one point of intersection. But there is a point in the curve that when you draw a line na siya 2 points of intersection, therefore this curve is not a function anymore. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. By the way, class, don't worry. Dali rin siya. So another example is when we discuss the graph of a parabola. This is a parabola because x is equal to y squared minus 2. But the orientation is different. We are used to of saying y is equal to x squared. So you know that the graph of y is equal to x squared is a parabola opening upward. Kung balihon na to when x is equal to y squared minus 2, this is a parabola, this is positive, opening to the right with center at x is equal to negative 2 and y is 0. Okay? Obviously, class, this is not a function because when we drop the vertical line, duha iyang intersection. But we want to insist, how can we get a function out of this parabola? So, this one can be written as y squared is equal to x plus 2. So we are used to of saying y, not y squared, positive y. So, wait, let's see. Naman, kaya itong disturbances. Okay. So, y here is equal to plus and minus square root of x plus 2. So that y is equal to positive square root of x plus 2 and y is equal to negative square root of x plus 2. These two y's are represented by this one, no? Which is, since y is positive, that is the graph. And the second one, since y is negative, this is the graph of our y is equal to the negative square root of x plus 2. Now, this is now a function. Each of this is a function. But it is taken from the original parabola or second order function. Second order equation. No? So this is a parabola. If you split it because you want it to be expressed in terms of a function, then take the positive value as well as the negative value separately. Kasabot, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, remember piecewise defined functions? You know, it is a function when we can define it by different formulas in different parts of the domain. So, the domain of the function for every subintervals of the domain, lahi iyang formula. That is a piecewise function. For example, this. When we say this is the domain is all real numbers. But if we subdivide the domain from x into x is less than or equal to negative 1 and x is greater than negative 1 because for x is less than or equal to negative 1, lahi iyang definition, lahi ang function, 1 minus x, this is a linear function. And for x greater than negative 1, it is a quadratic function. We call it a piecewise defined function because it has different formulas for different parts of the domain. No? Now, for example, what is f of 0? So when our x is 0, aman mabilong ang atong na belong ang atong x nga 0. X which is equal to 0 is greater than negative 1. So it belongs here. So we use this one. So 0 squared is 0. F of 1. So mabutang ang atong 1. Atong 1 belongs here because 1 is greater than negative 1. So 1 squared, we're going to use this one. So 1 squared is 1. And so on. With this negative 1, it belongs here. 1 minus negative 1, negative of a negative is a positive. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So we sketch it for different parts. When x is less than negative 1, that is linear, which is this one. When x is greater than negative 1, it is quadratic. It is parabola, which is that one. So this is an example of a piecewise defined function. Nakasabot, class?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, symmetry. No? Symmetry class is very important because in your higher math, it will simplify your equation or it will simplify your calculations later. So, symmetry, when we say symmetry, it has an identical function or it has an identical figure or sketch on the other side. No? Or it looks like the same or it behaves the same way as on the other side. So, remember class, a function is even if when we substitute negative x to the original function, it is just equal to the original function. Okay? So, if that function is even, we say that the graph is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Example is this. It is even, this is our y-axis. It is even because the figure here is a mirror image to the figure on the other side of our y-axis. The x here is just the same there, and the y here is just the same there. So every point here has the same but opposite coordinate for x. Okay. Example of this one, class, is as atong trigonometry, the cosine function. Di ba? Itong cosine function, more or less it looks like this. Ana, taas, ana, layo. Our parabola, y is equal to x squared. Our parabola is like that. So, it is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Now, a function is odd. Odd or even naman na, class. A function is odd if you are given a function f of x, when we substitute negative x to our f, what comes out is negative of the original function, then that is an odd. If it is an odd, we say that it is symmetric about the origin. Why is it symmetric about the origin? It looks like this. No? This is an example of our function which is symmetric about the origin. No? Because this one, this one, if you try to rotate it, looks like here. Or the first quadrant looks like the one on the third quadrant. So this is symmetry about the origin. Example of this one is the sine, cosine, and the cubic. Sine function is, di ba, ana na siya? Dito, ana dayon. It passes through the origin. Example class. Solve. No? for the first one. Is this an odd or an even function? So what we do is, this is the given function. We substitute negative x to this one. No? So substituting negative x here plus negative x. Notice it becomes negative of x fifth plus x, which is equal to f of x. So f of negative x is equal to negative of f, the original function. So if that is the case, we call it an odd function. Okay, example 2 class. Substitute negative x here. Negative x raised to 4 is x raised to 4. As you notice, as we substitute negative x to the function, it is equal to the original function. Therefore, number 2 is an even function. The third one, substitute negative x here. Negative x squared. This becomes negative 2x, negative of x squared, which is equal to negative of 2x plus x squared. If we take out the negative, are they the same? If is f of negative x equal to the negative of our f of x? No. So, ay nakalimot ko dilibutang og negative plus. Since it is not equal, so the function is neither odd or even function. Nakasabot, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So increasing and decreasing function. A function is increasing, no? For example, we are given here a graph. Now, from point A to B, notice that our function is increasing. From point B to C, it is decreasing. From C to D, it is increasing. So, within our interval, no, close interval AB, our function f increases. Within our interval BC, our function f decreases. Within our interval CD, it is increasing. Notice also that when our x1 is less than x2, and this is our f of x1, this is our f of x2, we know that this is an increasing function. It is an increasing function because when x1 is less than x2, our f of x1 is also less than f of x2. So our y1 is less than y2 when our x1 is less than x2. That is for an increasing function. Now, let's define it. A function f is called increasing function on an interval I if f of x1 is less than f of x2 whenever x1 is less than x2 in the interval I. This is what we are talking about. F of x1 is less than f of x2. Gamay ang y ani kaysa ani. Whenever our x1 is less than our x2. It is called decreasing on the interval I if f of x1 is greater than f of x2 whenever f of x1 is less than x2 in the interval. This is decreasing. For example, we have x1 here. We have x of 2 here. Our f of x1 is greater than f of x2 when our x1 is less than x2. Therefore, it is decreasing. So, for example, again, this parabola. This is x1, x2. x1 is greater than x2 when x1 is less than x2. So, it is decreasing on the interval from negative infinity to 0, and it is increasing from 0 to positive infinity. Nakasabot, class?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, this will be your assignment. Okay? It this PowerPoint class, it is loaded. No, I will upload it in your eLearn, and the assignment you can open it. It is also after the PDF file of this PowerPoint, so you can solve it. Can you do that, class?
Yes, ma'am.
So the deadline of this is uh, Wednesday, a night after. No, yeah, a night after tonight. That would be tomorrow night, Tuesday. Okay. Nakasabot, class?
Yes, ma'am.
So, kung nakasabot na, do you have any question? Do you have any question, class?
None so far, ma'am.
Okay, none so far. So if you don't have any question. Yes, Vergara?
Good morning, ma'am. Will we submit our assignments through your Facebook Messenger, ma'am? Just like you
Yes.
instructed.
In the Facebook Messenger, individual, not on the group chat. Kaya magkinopyahay mo sa group chat. Okay?
Noted, ma'am.
Okay. Very good. Other questions?
I have a question for example 3 in the presentation.
Yeah?
Why was the height is equal to 10 divided by 2w at the power of 2? Hello?
Yeah. Ah,
Why was the
ay,
height divided by...
sorry. Sorry, wala day ko. Wala din ako, I open the, wala day ko naka-share. I was thinking you're looking at it. Nakakita mo, class? Kakita mo sa screen?
Yes,
Sa
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
PowerPoint? Okay. Why is it h is equal to 10 divided by 2? Okay. From here, we want to express the side area in terms of W. W only, no H. So, man nato makuha ang H. How can we express H in terms of W? We were given here volume, which is equal to 10. So, the volume of this box is 10. You know that the volume of the box is length times width times height. So, ang iyang length is 2W, the width is W, the height is W. So, we have here an expression of 2WH squared H. 2W squared H, which is equal to 10. So, we can express H here in terms of W. So, 10 is equal to 2W squared H. Therefore, H is equal to 10 over 2W squared. Nakasabot? Nakasabot? Kasi ito nangutana.
Me po, ma'am.
Okay, nakasabot, ani?
Yes, ma'am.
The volume is given to be 10. Then you want to relate it into the equation of the volume of the container, which is equal to 2W squared H. So, 10, ayun na include ang ano, okay, that is the unit. 10 is equal to 2WH squared. So, solving for H, 10 over 2W squared. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question, class? Any other? Wala? Wala na, class? Okay. So, bye-bye, class.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye,
Bye,
ma'am.
class.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ay, thank you, ma'am.
Goodbye and thank you,
Welcome.
ma'am.
Ay, ma'am.
Yes?
Asan ako isend ang attendance for today's meeting?
Just keep it,
Okay,
or
ma'am.
just keep it, and then at the end, unsay mong gigamit?
Akong sa phone, ma'am, sa notepad.
Sa?
Sa cellphone, ma'am. Notes sa cellphone.
So, gitag-sa-tagsa ni mo kuan check.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, ang tabuan would be at the end of the sem, you give me the number of those. Or pwede siguro nga sa atong GC.
Isend na ako, ma'am.
Sa atong GC, isend nimo and then ibutang nimo ang kinsa tong absent.
Where ba ko i-list sa kuan, ma'am, sa like students under this class ang akong na-list lang kay kung kinsa ang present sa meeting mo din akong gilista.
Wala kay list sa absent?
Wala, ma'am, kay wala ko kaila sa uban.
Okay. So, wala din mo na ako ng uban, no? Di ba imong gipicturan ang katong list of students?
Yes, ma'am. Ang absent lang ang akong i-note, ma'am.
Ang absent lang mo. For example, unsa karon?
August 15.
August 15. Ibutang nimo dito August 15 absent, no?
Then, isend ako sa GC today, ma'am.
Sa GC para mabalaan nila.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Pwede
you, ma'am.
Pwede po ugma. Basta
Okay.
mabalaan nila kung kinsay ka. Okay?
Noted, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, ma'am.
Bye. Bye.